January 15th, 2019, I had first date with what I find out was the one and only true love of my life, Sherry Lorraine Stoltz. We both worked at City Trends together, and after the first date, which was simple enough, we just drove around and she bought me dinner before I dropped her off at her parents'. As she's getting out, I'm thinking, wow, I didn't even get a kiss. And it's almost as if she read my mind. She leans back into the car, gives me the sweetest little peck on the cheek right there. I was on cloud nine. For months after that, I was singing love songs at work. Everyone thought I had a bug bit me. And I did. A love bug. She and I were inseparable from our second date. Second date, I had taken her out to Wilson Rock. Still cold since it was January. I started a fire for her. And then I started playing her songs off my guitar. She later told me that was one of the most romantic things she'd ever experienced. Right from the very beginning, I was her protector. She was my best friend. We were best friends to each other. Even from her own mouth, she was saying these things. She would always tell me I was healing her. And I thought she was just being sweet, so I'd always dismiss it. But the first sign that we were meant for each other, that we were made for each other, was when we both quit our alcoholism cold turkey in a single night, without so much as saying a word to each other. When we finally did talk about it 2 weeks later, our motivations were the same. We needed each other more than we needed alcohol. That proved to me that I had never loved anyone before, but my alcoholism would have quit for them. Same goes for her. I don't think she's realized that yet. Our first year was wonderful, even though we spent most of it stuck at home because our vehicle broke down. We were getting rides back and forth to work, but we didn't care. We had each other, and that's all we needed. Then the pandemic started. We were living in a slumlord's house, Lee Hackler of Alma, Arkansas. And the first thing he did was hand my wife a fake eviction note, which I always thought was funny, since those things are supposed to be illegal. How come nothing happened to him? Because I hear that shit happens all over the country. Anyway, she wasn't on the lease, so he had no business handing it to my wife. But it set her off. She'd always been chased out of places before. And I had to call the police department over to calm her down and tell her that it wasn't enforceable, that it was a bullshit order. That worked, but it triggered my wife, and she went downhill from that point on. Right after that, we had roommates that we had been keeping off the streets rob us of everything we had, with the police standing on the porch. The girl that we had kicked out had used a civil loophole, so the cops were powerless to do anything except stand there and watch them rob us of everything we owned. That same weekend, Sherry's son was taken by the biological father in the most cowardice of ways. Didn't even have the guts to tell her. He just didn't call, didn't bring him back. Had him in Arkansas. Well, on his 8th birthday, Sherry started crying, and even though all the law enforcement agencies and lawyers said there was nothing we could do except fight it out in court, I told her I was going to bring her son home that day, and I did, without breaking any laws and without any violence. Of course, that went out the window, and 3 weeks later, her and Chance got into a fight, and she sent him packing to dad again, kind of wasting the $2,500 retainer fee I paid for the highest priced attorney in the state. But she was no longer in her right frame of mind. She became a danger to herself when I had walked to the store and came back to find the trash can smoking. When I explained it to her, she didn't comprehend the danger. Then she became dangerous with the debit cards, and ended up having to restrict her spending ability so that I could keep track of the expenditures. She kept promising me she would only spend $25 on her Shining with Shelby show. It was a jewelry show she liked to watch on Facebook. Never said anything that she always went over by to $75 instead of $25. So long as she was happy, that's all that mattered to me. With her off work, I tried to find a job from home. Wasn't able to. With everybody in the country trying to get a job from home, now a felon with a GED just isn't appealing. So I thought, if I can't find a job, I'll make a job. So I started out sole proprietorship, Outlaw Audio Innovations, which wasn't the best name to choose for a mobile mechanic business. And then they started talking about the vaccine and made it sound as though we would have less than a year. The mobile mechanic business wasn't going to be sustaining us. Wasn't going to have a sustainable income within a year. I could already see that. So I upped my game. And as they always say, some of the best things are born out of necessity. I added an online division. I had a vision that I started putting together, building the website. I was having to teach myself all of this while working on the truck because I was using it as like a advertising. I was teaching myself welding, I was putting together the website. I even recorded a commercial. My vision was one website tied to all the social media networks or platforms where somebody could go and buy anything from a roadside assistance to a flat repair to a oil change to a lift kit to custom lighting on their vehicle. Anything that could be done within a day, and within 24 hours a mobile mechanic would show up in one of our fleet vehicles from our nationwide service centers and do the work right there at the customer's location of request. So a person could literally have a car stereo put in and an oil change without ever leaving their living room. Car staying in the driveway the whole time. That was my vision. And when I had a meeting with the Better Business Bureau, he said that I needed to restructure as an LLC because I had already attained so many assets, and he thought I had the next Amazon. I was having to do all of this, teach myself all of this, and work on it while taking care of a schizophrenic wife 24/7. All the added stress eventually got to Sherry. Her son was the last one she had, and